Hello my lovelies, this is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video we're working on some summer tops, so this is gonna be a little bit of a quick one here. So this may not be for everyone as well, so for those of you who are looking to make some summer stuff, please stay tuned. I'm doing this one in these French colors. I live in France now, so you do see it with these French colors. If you do want to do it in just one solid color, you can. If you want to do it in any colors of your choice, that is absolutely up to you. But we're doing it in these colors. So this is what I'm going to be using for the tutorial. I did do this top in this black color as well. So as you can see here, because I freestyle my work, what I do usually is I make one and so that I can understand exactly what I'm doing before I show it to you guys on video. So I do have this one in black here that I did before I will show you this one here. So yeah, this is pretty much it here. So we're gonna be working on this. Yeah, stay tuned. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies. So before we get this project started, I'm going to show you all the materials that I'm using for mine. And as you can see here, I have my colors. I have my red here, an off-white, and a kind of like a bluish. Now I'm attempting to do kind of like a French colors here. So these are the colors that they have. They may be a little bit off in terms of tonality, but these are pretty much the colors that I'm going to be using for this. Okay, so this one is a little bit different. It's from Hobby We Heart Yarn, and this is 100% acrylic. It's a lightweight number 3, and recommended hook size is 4 to 5 millimeter crochet hook, or US G6 or H8. Color is 22, but obviously I'll be referring to it as red. And then these two are from the same brand. These are Azurite, 100% acrylic as well. Also lightweight number 3. For this one here, it's a little bit off-white color, so that's what I'll be referring to it as, but the color number is 211. And 100% acrylic, like I said, and recommended hook size is 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook. And then the same goes for this here, except this color number here is 3040. Okay, so 3040. Okay, so these are the colors I'm going to be using. Of course, you will be able to use whatever colors you want. You can use just one color, you can do the 2 colors, or you could do 3 like this, but obviously colors of your choice. For my hook size, I'm going to be using this 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. And I have my darning needle here, just in case I need it. I may not really need it for this project actually, but I always make sure I have a darning needle lying around and some stitch markers. A measuring tape is important so that you can determine your size, and of course a nice clean and sharp scissors to be able to cut your strands. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're gonna get started with the project here. I'm gonna be using this white white color to do the cups, which is going to be the middle part of the project. And then we're going to do the red on top and the blue in the bottom, so that we have the colors in the order that it is. Okay, so we're going to start by doing a slip knot so we can create a foundation chain for the cup. And I'm going to do it like this. And for a small, I would usually do a chain of 10, but since I want it to be just a slightly bigger, not too much, I'm going to do a chain of 13. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is my cup here, my foundation chain here to do the cup. And then I'm gonna skip this chain right here, which is where the loop is coming from. And in the next one, I'm gonna go in the back of that loop and do a half double crochet. Okay, just like this. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to go ahead and do a half double crochet, again picking up the back loop of the foundation chain. And I'm going to do these all the way down to the very last one. And since I did a chain of 13, I'm going to end up with 12 stitches on this side. So go ahead and do these all the way to the last one here, then come back so I can show you how to do the other side. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, so I have completed my half double crochets here, and as you can see, it's just a just a row like that. We're gonna do a chain of 1, and we're gonna turn, and in the next stitch right here, we're gonna do a half double crochet, And then we're going to move on to the next and do a half double crochet. And we're going to do these all the way to the end here. And the very top, which is the last double crochet that we did, half double crochet that we did there, we're going to be working a couple of stitches so we can create a corner. But for now, just work it to that end here. So as you can see here, I just did my final half double crochet right there. Looks like that. And then I'm going to work on that final half double crochet from the previous row. I'm going to go into that and do 2 half double crochets. So that's 1, this is 2, then I'm going to chain 1 and then do 2 more half double crochets in that same space. So 1 and 2, just like that. Okay, and now I'm going to continue working on this side here as opposed to turning and going this way, because this is now the corner that we've created there, and we're going to start working like this. So we're going to be working creating this corner here and working ourselves to the top of the corner and then down the other side, and then we repeat that until we have the size that we're looking for. But I'll show you a couple of more rows here. So after we finish that corner creation, we're gonna go into the very next stitch right here and do our half double crochet, and then we'll move on to the next stitch right here and do a half double crochet. And keep in mind, you're going to go through both of these loops from the opposite side that we created. So I'll just quickly show you what I'm talking about here. So if I flip it like this, it's a little bit hard to see this white color. If we flip it like this, you see these V's here. So we're going through those V's, okay? We're going through those V's like this. We pick up both of them and go underneath them, and then we do our half double crochet. And again, we do this until we get to the bottom. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you there. So when you get to the end like this, don't forget there's a final stitch there. That's why it looks a little bit off here. So just make sure you're going into that very final stitch here to make sure this part of your work is going to lay flat like this, okay? Now that you've done that, we're going to go ahead and do a chain of 1 and turn. So you're doing a chain of 1 at the beginning of each row. Then you're just going to go into the next stitch and do your half double crochet, and then the next, and you're going to do this again until you get to the very top. So go ahead and I will meet you when you have, let's say, 1 or 2 stitches before you hit the top. Okay, so as you can see here, we're just approaching the top and it looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next stitch right here and just do my normal half double crochet, and then there's 1 more stitch. So this stitch here before we hit the middle, there's that stitch there. So if you see, there's a middle here where there's this small hole, and you do your half double crochet on the stitch before, and then in the middle you're going to work 2 half double crochets. So just right into the middle like this, do your 2 half double crochets. So 1, 2, and then you chain 1 and do 2 more in the same gap. So chain 1 and do 2 more into that big gap, and this again continues to create your corner on top here. Then when you finish that, you move on to the next stitch right here and do your half double crochet, and then move on and complete the rest of the row. Okay, so you guys when you get there. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the end of that row, and it'll start to look like this. So this is the corner here that we're creating on top here, and then we're just pretty much working ourselves around like this. So I have done the very first row that we do. I don't count it as a row because it's a standalone row, but the one that we complete a full one like this is when I start to count it as a row. So for this here, I have 2 rows completed. Okay, 3 with the middle, but the middle you don't count because just the way it is. You can count it, but I don't count it. So I have 2 rows here. I'm going to do 8 more rows because I'm going to do a row of 10. And this is going to be where you create the size that fits you. So if you wanted to have a full coverage of your bust, then make sure you're continuing to create until you have enough space to cover what you need to cover. And if you want it to be a little bit less coverage, then you're going to obviously do it smaller. So this is gonna be where you determine how many rows you do. Okay, I'll do my 10. I like full coverage, and when I have my 10 rows, I will come back and I'll show you guys what to do next. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my 10 rows here. So as you can see, this gives me a really good coverage for my small size. This will probably, you could get away if you are, let's say, a B cup. You could get away with this if you want it to be revealing. But if you wanted it to be full coverage, then you would continue to do a few more rows. So for me, for a small or an A cup, this is a little bit of a full coverage. Okay, so this is 10 rows completed, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn here so I can do the second cup, because we do need two. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here, not too much yarn to be wasted. And then we're just gonna do a slip stitch here to close that off, just like that. Okay, so we have one cup done. For the second, you're just going to repeat exactly what we did for the first, so nothing too complicated. And obviously make sure you start with the 13 stitches we started with, and then make sure you're doing the same number of rows that you're actually gonna end up doing. And of course, if you're doing let's say you want to do a small but a little bit less coverage, you can start anywhere from 8 stitches at the beginning to 10 for a small, and for a medium you could do anything from 14 to, let's say, 16, and then 18 to 20, for example, you could do for a big size. Okay, but for now, I will put this on the side so I can start my second cup. When I have my second cup completed, I will come back to show you what to do next. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my 2 cups here. So this is one we did together, and then I went ahead and did the second one as well. So you should have your 2 cups by this point of whatever size you're making, and you should have something that is like this. And if you put this together, just to sometime test to make sure you have the same size, it's good to just kind of put them together like this to see that they're actually sitting flat, completely flat on top of each other. Okay, so this is done. So we're going to move on to the next part of the project, and at this point we're going to use the red color. So at this point you can position your cups so that they face each other like this, and however you want them to face each other, it doesn't really matter. What I do is I try to see what side I'm going to use for the outside versus the inside. So for example, this is going to be the inside because the cups will go like this, and which means this side will be the outside. It doesn't make too much of a difference because they look very identical, so you don't have to worry about that. But the main thing here is I'm going to take a little bit of my white yarn and I'm going to cut it somewhere like this, because I want to be able to tie these 2 sections together so that they don't come loose while I'm working. Okay, so I'm gonna go right into the very middle of each of these, and I'm gonna bring my yarn through to the other side like that, and then I will use this small string to tie them together like this. And we're not going to do it too tight so it wrinkles up. We're going to do it just so that it holds this section together while we work on the next part of the project. So just like this. Okay, and you can do one more knot to make it so that it's a little bit more steady. And don't worry about cutting these off right now, because if you do need to undo it to fix something, you want to be able to do that. So we will leave it just like that. Okay, so now that I've joined the middle here and I have my work ready to be worked from this corner here back to this middle and then the other way, and we're pretty much going to be working like this up and down until we fill up this space here. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to take my red and I'm going to do a slip stitch so that I have a stitch to work with. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch like this. And then I'm going to let it go, and then I'm going to bring my hook. And in this very first stitch on this side, so these are our stitches here. So this is the very first stitch. I'm going to go through both loops like that. And then I'm going to put my hook through that slip stitch that I did. I'm going to bring it through that gap. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my chains, and I'm going to do a chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first 3 chains count as a double crochet, and then the 1 chain counts as a chain 1 that I'm working on these stitches with. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to skip this stitch, and in the next one I'm going to do a double crochet. Okay, so as you can see here, this is my double crochet plus a chain 1, and then I'm going to do a chain of 1, skip this stitch. In the next, I'm going to do a double crochet just like that, chain 1, skip this stitch, in the next do a double crochet. Okay, chain 1, skip this stitch, in the next stitch I do a double crochet, and I continue to repeat this pretty much all the way until I come to the middle here. So when you have one stitch left on this side here, come back and I will show you how to transition to the other side and then work the same thing. But just continue to repeat this: chain 1, skip a stitch, do a double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, do a double crochet, and then I'll see you guys when you reach the middle. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my stitches here, and as you can see, I am now right in the middle. I've done my final double crochet here. I have a stitch here that I'm not going to work into, so we're going to jump right to the other side, and I'm going to skip this stitch here, and then in the next one I'm going to just go ahead and do a double crochet in that second stitch. So we're not doing a chain 1 in between. I'm just going to go straight and do a double crochet on that side like this. Okay, and the reason we're not doing a chain 1 in the middle here is because we want our work to work in this V shape like this, because if we do a chain 1 there, it continues to keep it kind of flat like this, and we don't want that. Okay, all right, so now that we have done that middle part, which is going to be how you repeat this project going forward, you're going to do a chain of 1, skip this stitch, in the next you do a double crochet, chain 1, skip this stitch, in the next one do a double crochet, and again you continue to do this here until you get to the end. So go ahead and do that, and I will see you guys when you've reached the end. Okay, my lovelies, so as you can see here, I'm at the end, and if you look at how it adds up, and it just sometimes happens to be like this, but I happen to end up having 3 stitches at the end, because believe it or not, this final stitch here is a stitch, and so we have 1, 2, 3. So because we skip one and work in the next, and if I do that, I have nothing to do with the last one. So what I do is I just do my chain 1, I will add another one to make it 2, and I'll skip 2 and go into the final stitch. So that is just a workaround there. If you do end up having 2 stitches to skip, and you skip one and work in the third and then do that, it's okay. But if you do end up with 3 stitches at the end, you just kind of work around by doing that at the end. Okay, so it's not going to be a big deal. Okay, all right, so we're going to go ahead and work on our second row, and the beginning of each row starts with a chain 4. The first 3 chains are your double crochet plus the chain 1 for the separation of the stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn, and then you go ahead and skip these 2 stitches. In the next, you're gonna do a double crochet just like that, then chain 1, skip the 1 stitch, do a double crochet on top of the previous double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, go on top of the double crochet from the previous row and do a double crochet stitch. So you're just gonna work this all the way to the middle. Work your last double crochet in this stitch right here, which means there's 1 more before you hit the middle. Then come back and I will show you guys what to do there. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, so I have reached the second last stitch from the middle here, and so we're gonna continue to make sure that this top continues to build with a V here. So the way to do that here is you don't work into the second, the 2 stitches in the middle. So you're going to go ahead and do a double crochet, not here, but in the next one over on the other side. So you're gonna go ahead and do your double crochet on that side like this, okay? So this creates this little hole here, but that's perfectly fine. And then what you do is you go ahead and do your chain 1 and then do your double crochet on the other next double crochet, skip 1 stitch here, chain 1, skip a stitch, and then do a double crochet on the other side, chain 1, skip a stitch, do a double crochet on top of the double crochet, and then you again continue to do this until you get to the end. When you have reached the second last stitch on the side, or the second last double crochet, come back and I'll show you how to work into the final double crochet. And then what we will do is I will have you guys start, we will start that row together, the next row together. Then I will have you guys work the rest of this part of the project, and then we will finish it off and go ahead and do the bottom part of it, okay? So As I'm still talking here, I'm just approaching the end. So I will just finish it off here so you guys can see how I work into the final stitch and then how to start the next row. Okay, so this is my second last stitch, and as you can see here, this is the chain 4 that we did, and we talked about the first three chains being a double crochet. So you will do a chain 1, and then we will kind of flip this chain 4, and we will go 1 2, and the third from the bottom we're going to do a double crochet on top of that, like that. Okay, so it lines up with this finishing here, and then we're going to do a chain of 4 and turn, and then in the next stitch here we're going to skip the chain 1 and go into the double crochet to do a double crochet, chain 1, skip the chain 1 from the previous row and work into the previous double crochet. And again, you continue this, and just don't forget when you reach the middle, and as you can see, our top is starting to work in a V shape on top. When you get to here, this is where you will work your final double crochet, and then you're not going to do any chains at all. You're going to go ahead and do your next double crochet and the second double crochet on the other side, the second away from the middle. So this is where you will work your next double crochet. Then you do a chain 1, work, and then continue doing this just as normal. And the next row is going to be the same, and the next row, and the next row, and the next row. Okay, you're gonna do this to be able to cover the top of your chest. So this is obviously the cup right here. And this part here is gonna work up until it hit your, let's say, collarbones. Okay, when you get to that point, make sure you come back and I will show you what to do for the top finishing part, and then we will go ahead and move to working the bottom part of this crop top. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have done 6 rows here, and I think this is where I'm gonna stop with mine. It just goes right beneath my collarbone, this section here. So I like the look when I try to put it against my body, so I will stop here. So hopefully you have stopped where you like yours to look like as well. And now what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to create a strap, because you're going to need a strap on both sides to be able to tie our top, and then we can move on to work on the bottom part of it. Okay, so in terms of the top of the straps here, or the string that you need to tie around your neck, you're going to do it as long as you need to do it. But what we're going to do, just to make it so that it's a little bit thicker as well, we're going to work down our chain and do slip stitches. Okay, so we're going to do a chain that you need as long as you want. I'm probably going to do a chain of let's say 60, and then we will see if it's long enough. So 1 2 3 4 5. So this is a chain of 80 here. The thing is, when we do work our slip stitches down, it does make it a little bit smaller, not too much, but it's probably going to lose about 10 chains or so. And I think that is good at this point. So I'm not going to make it any longer than this. And then to be able to work our slip stitches, I'm just going to pivot my chain like this. And I'm going to not work in this first one, but in the next stitch, I'm going to do a slip stitch like this. Okay, the first one is a little bit tricky, and then we move on to the next stitch and we do a slip stitch, and then we move on to the next stitch and do a slip stitch, and then we just work our slip stitches all the way down to where we just started the chains. If you do want your top or your strap to be a little bit thinner, you could just keep this like this. So which means when you have the number of chains here, you cut your string, you come and connect it to this side, just right in the corner stitch right here, and then you do the same. And then that will have just this. But for me, since I want it to be a little bit thicker, I am going to work the slip stitches all the way to the base of the chain here, then come back and I will show you how to transition the yarn over to the other side to do the same on the other side. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked down my chain and I've made it into a little bit of a thicker strap with the slip stitches. And as you can see, I just did my last one there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna work on this section here. So as you can see, it's a little bit kind of off compared to the work that we did along the cup section. So we're gonna just clean it up a little bit so that this place is not looking the way it is. So to do that, as you can see here, I'm going to go straight into this gap here and do half double crochet like that. And then I'm gonna do one more in that same gap. Okay, and then I'm gonna go right to the other side and at the next space and do 2 half double crochets. Then I'm gonna go right into the next and do 2 half double crochets. So we're not doing anything on top of this section here. Okay, and we just do this, as you can see here, all the way until we get fit to finish this red section, because we're not gonna work it on the side that is the cup side. Okay, so just like this. And then in this final space here, we do 2 more like that. Okay, and then for this final section right here, I'm just gonna do a slip stitch in that section, just something like this. That kind of closes that section off, and then I'm gonna take my scissors and cut it somewhere here, and then we will do a slip stitch to make sure it locks it here, and we can weave these ends in at a later time. Okay, just like that. So this kind of makes it nice and clean like this, so we don't have the section that kind of looks like there's a gap here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna pretty much reconnect our yarn on this side here and do our 80 stitches as we did on this side, but you will obviously do however many you needed to do that will match on the other side. Okay, so we start with a slip knot like this, and then we're gonna take our hook and we're gonna go on top of the corner here. We're gonna bring our yarn through like that, and then we're gonna do our chain of 80. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and when you get to your 80th, you're gonna do the same thing we did on this side. So do your slip stitches coming back all the way down, and then repeat what we did here, which is to clean this section up by doing the 2 half double crochets in these gaps here all the way down. And then when you get to the final one here, do a slip stitch and then cut your yarn off, and we are good for the top part, and then come back so we can start the bottom section. Okay, see you guys when you have completed the top part. Okay, my lovelies, so as you can see here, the top part of the of this crop top is completed. We have finished the red, the white, which is the cups, and now we're going to be working on the blue side, which is just down here, and we're just going to make it rows of half double crochet. So we're not doing anything too complicated with that part of it. So we're just gonna pivot our work like this so we can work across like this. Okay, so the way I'm gonna do this is I'm just gonna take my blue color, just like we have here, and I'm gonna show you how to connect it here. And again, we're going to start by doing our slip knot. So we're just gonna go ahead and do a slip knot here. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and grab the very first stitch here in the corner of the top, and then we're going to go and bring it through, and we're going to do a chain of 1, and you can either weave these in as you go, which I will try to do, that way we don't have these hanging here. And I'm going to go right into that same stitch here and do a half double crochet. Then I'm going to go on into the next stitch and do a half double crochet, just like that. And then into the next stitch and do a half double crochet. And as you can see here, we are literally doing a very simple part of this top now, where we're not making it too complicated with anything else but a half double crochet stitch. And we're gonna do these all across to the other end. Now, when it comes to this middle part here, we are going to do, actually, you know what you should do? Just work it until you get to here. And when you get to here, come back. I will show you how to complete this section here. And then I will have you guys finish it up to the other side. So just get to the middle, and then I'll see you guys when you get there. Okay, my lovelies. So as you can see here, we have one more stitch to work into here in the middle. And so we're just going to go ahead and do a stitch in that section here, like that. And then if you move these 2 strings over to the other side like this, you will see that there's a stitch down here that we're gonna go for. So we're gonna go ahead and just go straight to that stitch on the other side. and I'm gonna be weaving these 2 strings in at the same time. So I'm gonna hold them like this. So this is pretty much how this middle section is gonna look like. And then you're gonna move on to the next stitch, and you're gonna do your half double crochet, and then we just continue to do the half double crochets all the way to the end. So just like that. So far you should be able to have something that looks like that. Okay, so the blue is going around and it's going to go here. I'm going to continue to do the half double crochets to the end here. So I'll meet you, let's say, when you have a stitch or 2 left at the end there, so I can show you how to start the next row, and that next row becomes your repeat row until you have the length that you're looking for, because what we're working on here is we're doing it until you reach the length that you're looking for. I want mine to be just right above my belly button, so I'm gonna work it until I will keep putting it against my body until I have accomplished that length. But for now, let's meet at the end of this row. Okay, my lovelies, so I have 2 stitches to go here, so I just wanted to come back and show you guys how to complete them. So we go into the second last just like usual, like that, and then we have a last one, very final one right here, that we're gonna bring it in and kind of do the half double crochet there as well. So as you can see, it lines up very nicely and it kind of matches this side as well. Okay, all right, so this is gonna be a repeat row here. We chain 1 and turn, and then we do a half double crochet on every single stitch across to the other side, and then we chain 1, we turn, we repeat until we have the length that we're looking for. So I'm not gonna obviously show you all those rows. I'm gonna do between 10, 12 to 14 rows, depending on how much it's gonna how many rows it's gonna need for me to reach my length. And when I have that, I will come back to show you guys how it looks like. And while we are at it, if you have any edges like this, weave them in or just cut them off by knotting them and then cutting them off. So when you come back, you should have the length completed as well as the weaving in of the edges completed. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I will see you guys at the end. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed the top here. So the last thing that I forgot to mention at the end of the last segment is the straps that you use to tie your top in the bottom. So what I pretty much did, I did about 10 rows here, and then as I finished and went to the other side of the project, I did 100 chains. So instead of 80 that we did for the top, I did 100, and then I worked down the 100 chains with a slip stitch just like we did this, and then I disconnected it. As you see here, I disconnected it and connected the yarn back up here, did another 100 chains, worked it down with slip stitches, and then finished it off in the bottom here. So that pretty much has the straps here for you to tie the top behind your back here, and then the straps here to tie the top on top of your neck, on behind your neck. Okay, so this is the end of the project here. As you can see, this is pretty much how it looks like when you wear it. It's gonna look like this, and as you've seen it in the pictures, it looks pretty nice. I really like this, and again, you can obviously do this in any colors that you want. I just choose to do it in at the French flag colors here because I live in France now, so I thought I would do something that is kind of a little bit of a representative type of project. And of course, if you're the kind of person who like to do flags or just like things that represents a meaning, you can do it in any colors that you want. Okay, so this is the end of the project here. Thank you so much for watching the video to the end. If you have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and do so. That helps me a lot with my algorithms. And make sure you watch the video to the end. Obviously, that also helps. And make sure you hit the notification bell and like the video. If you have any questions or any comments, please ask in the comment section below. Thank you so much again, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.